Hey guys, what's up? It's Melody, and today we're going to be talking about my daily habits, my absolute favorite morning habits, which changed my life. These morning habits, if I can do most or all of them, my day's going to be good. If you are taking on new habits slowly but surely, so slower is better because it's easier to stick with something if you work it in slowly. If you push too hard or too fast or put in too many, it is very hard to stick with it long term. So slowly and make it into a habit and then add a new one or lump a few together, and therefore it's easy to remember if you do it in categories of habits. For instance, if you're going to drink water, then you're going to take vitamin D, that's one habit smashed together. So try to lump a few of these together, and therefore you have less to remember as well. So it'll be easier to stick with things because it will kind of be a snowball. The very first morning habit I have is I wake up and, believe it or not, I actually check social media. I check social media because it wakes me up, because the screen is very bright, so it simulates the sun. So even if it's gloomy outside, that Instagram screen is booming. So I'm up and I'm ready to go towards my desk. After about 5 minutes, I will usually respond to comments, or I'll like a few pictures up. I always check out your guys' pages when you guys add me. So I will like a few things up, respond to comments, and then I'll move over to my desk where I start on water. Water is so important, but we've all heard it. We've all heard that water is important, but the problem is getting from knowing that water is important to drinking as much water as we should be drinking. So I was always having that problem. So the way to solve that is to make it easy. Make it so easy on yourself. Get your water, as much as you're supposed to be drinking for the day, ready the night before in something very easy to pour. I really like this container because when you put it in the fridge door, the handle doesn't get caught on the railing. It doesn't get caught. So I can grab it out really easy and I can pour it really quickly, and I keep this by my desk because one of the easiest ways to stick with a habit is to make it visual, because what you see, it reminds you, oh yeah, gotta get to something. So make it visual by keeping it on your desk. After I am done drinking my water, I move on to my vitamin D, which I will take if I'm not going out that day. If it's very gloomy or if I'm very tired, I already know I'm not going out of the house. Let's not kid ourselves. The key to keeping with your goals is to be realistic, because on days that are bad, I'm not going to be reading 50 pages in my book, nor am I going to be going outside and running errands. So I'm going to be realistic, so I'm not setting myself up for failure. But I will take my vitamin D pill if I'm not going to get a lot of sun that day, because working in the sun and, you know, writing in your notebook or reading in the sun is very pleasurable. It is a really good way to boost your mood. But if you can't have the sun, you can simulate the sun. So got that going for you, which is nice. And then after I am done taking my vitamin D, I will move on to my breakfast, which is going to be apples and peanut butter. And even though I'm a minimalist, I have an apple core because I eat a lot of apples. So I'm going to be realistic, and I'm going to make my life work for me and not just get rid of everything under the sun so I can barely entertain or move around because I don't own any clothes or something. I'm going to make sure I have only what I use and what I love, which there's not a lot of things I love, truth be told. Whatever I use, I will love because I'm looking at it all the time and I'm becoming familiar with it. So I will go ahead and grab my apples and with my peanut butter, and I will eat that, because if I don't eat these apple slices, I will go towards something that I really want to eat, which is cookies. Breads and chips and stuff, they spike your dopamine for a little while. It crashes right back down immediately. So it's a good idea to stay away from sugar drinks and stuff like that, as even fruit juices, and just eat something that's more complex like berries. So while I'm working, sometimes I will spray my rose water, because why not? Why not spruce up your life? And I like rose water because it hydrates your skin and it's a little pick-me-up. My mom says roses smell like pencils, which I kind of agree. After deliberation, I thought about it, and roses do smell like pencils, but I like the smell of academics. So after I am done spritzing my rose water and drinking my water and all of those things, I work from home, so I do stenography from home, so this is all very easy to do. Obviously, you can pack that rose water in your purse as well. Once I'm done with work altogether, I will move on to writing down my errands for the day and my to-dos for the day, which there's not a lot because I don't like a life where I have too many errands. So the way you get around a to-do list is to make your priorities habits. That's basically automating your priorities. Is when you make habits, you're automating those priorities so that you don't have to constantly write them down or make them visual and stuff like that. And I track my progress on an app, which I'll explain in my nighttime video. So if you guys are not subscribed, definitely subscribe, because I track all these things on an app to make sure I'm keeping up with things. That takes literally 3 minutes at night. The very next thing I do after I'm done with all my work is I grab my post-it note, and if I have a lot of chores to do that day, I will write it down. Most days I don't, because one of my top goals this year was to not have a to-do list. So I wrote down all of my to-dos on one page in my notebook. That notebook I've been talking about, that clear one, that perfect clear one, that is perfectly customizable. I wrote down all of my to-dos in that, and I just knocked them out one by one. So that I almost never have to-dos, but I have to do my tax paperwork early, because if you want to know how much you can invest into your retirement, you have to do that early. If I have a lot of errands, like I said, I'll use a post-it. Most days I don't. The very next thing is I move on to exercise, and I usually do exercise from 1 to 2 p.m. usually, because you're in a slump from about 1 to 2 p.m. most people, and very little work is getting done right after lunch. So the last thing I want to do is cracking open a book and reading a page, and then reading that page over again, and then reading that page over again, because I'm not getting the information because my brain is foggy. So I'm not going to do anything that requires any concentration from 1 to 2. I'm going to be moving around, whether it's walking outside or it is exercising with my 7-minute app, and sometimes I'll even meditate, but try not to fall asleep. So I'll have my favorite meditation video down below. It's just 10 minutes of music, and you can do whatever you want. You can sit there and clear your mind, focus on your breathing. That's always advised, focus on breathing. And the very next thing is I usually focus on self-improvement every day. I try not to have any 0 days Monday through Friday. No 0 days, no excuses. In the sense of, even if I have a bad day, I just want to do 1 push-up, or I just want to read 1 page. It is a very good concept to live by, to just do a little bit towards your goal. It's the mindset, it's the habit that you're creating, and habits come very slowly. The reason why most habits don't work is because we push too much too fast. We try to take on too many of them, or we try to go to the extreme, and then of course we can't stick to it. So the best thing to do is to live a mindful life and to move slowly. Don't procrastinate, but don't rush. Don't rush. So clarity is important, because you want to stay focused and not procrastinate. You know exactly what you have to get done by looking at your notebook. So it's very important to be organized and to not procrastinate, but at the same time, rushing only makes things worse, because we mess up more, we get paper cuts, or we're always stressed out, and so we don't want to do it again the next day. So it's good to move nice and slowly. So that's what I try to do when I'm checking the mail, especially. I can't tell you how many paper cuts I can't tell you how many paper cuts that I've got, because I've been rushing through checking the mail, and all of a sudden another paper cut. One of the things I do for self-improvement is reading, but I have 1 book that's fun. So right now I'm reading a physics book, because that's a subject I really liked ever since I was little. So I'm reading a physics book for fun, and then for work I've been reading The Body Keeps the Score book, which is an amazing book on trauma. In the United States, there's 22 veterans every day that are committing suicide. It's a very serious topic. So we don't have a lot of research on the mind, and I want to know what makes the mind tick, what makes people do the things that they do. And that book, The Body Keeps the Score, is so good, because it's basically getting into the underlying problems of PTSD, of trauma in animals and humans, and what that causes, which is very enlightening read. So The Body Keeps the Score is probably one of the best books. I'm only halfway through, but it's one of the best books I've ever read, because it's going through all the things that actually work based on this work that he's done with veterans, and based on his work with people that have had severe trauma. Don't trivialize what you went through, just figure out the answers. It's always a good idea. But this physics book is really fun to read, so it's a nice light read, so I'm not, some things are a little heavy. And I also make the bed every day, because it's very easy. If you have too many pillows, too many blankets, then give minimalism a try, because my bed literally takes 5 minutes or less. So it's a very easy thing to do, and it makes such a big difference, because the bed takes up so much space. So it makes a huge difference, because visually you're not procrastinating, which is a good cue to your mind that you can get onto other stuff. Take care of your environment and take care of yourself as best as you can. So for me, the biggest difference is to make the bed and to vacuum. Usually I'll vacuum 1 spot a day, because I just like using my vacuum, because it's a cordless vacuum, so why not? On my ideal days, on my absolute perfect days, I will have a green smoothie with lunch. That is a perfect day for me, because nothing makes your skin glow more than a green smoothie, and nothing makes your mood feel better. Nothing makes you feel better. And it's a very sweet tasting green smoothie. I have a whole video on just that green smoothie. And then the very last thing is that I will probably leave the house for an errand or to go walking. And on a day-to-day basis, I don't wear a lot of makeup. I just wear a little bit of lip and cheek color. I really like makeup that you can apply on the go, that you don't need to use a lot of makeup brushes to apply it. RMS is a great organic makeup brand that you can put the color on your lip and your cheeks, so it's instantaneous. So I just dab a little bit, and it really brightens up your face if you just have a little bit of color and a little bit of highlight somewhere. So I'll do that and head out the door, and that takes no time at all. Back when I was using a lot of powdered makeup, it just felt so cakey and heavy, and so I would rarely even put makeup. I would just go out of the house with nothing on, but I do feel better if I have a little color. So that's just something that boosts my mood. Before you head out, you can take care of your indoor plants and water them or tend to them, prune them. That's always something I like to do. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, definitely give it a subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next week video on my favorite nighttime habits. Thank you guys so much for watching.